Alright, what's up guys? New video today. We are doing the Toon tier list. This is brought to you by popular request. A lot of people are asking for the Toon cards. Very popular deck, one of the most popular decks probably ever. The support is very mixed. This is another deck where you have some cards that are really good, and then you have some cards that are just terrible. Like the S tiers in this deck, if they were in other decks, they would they'd be banned. Yeah, like they're that good. There are like the search cards for this deck are absolutely insane. I mean, they search everything.
The entire deck.
Yeah, but let's not waste too much time. Let's get started. If you are not subscribed, subscribe. Don't just linger in the comments section and just lurk around. Might as well hit that subscribe button if you like these types of videos, and then you can recommend stuff and be a part of this entire process. But this shouldn't be this. This should be F tier. So let's fix that.
Unprofessional.
Yeah, very unprofessional. So we've got the S through F. I'm not even doing a D tier. There's honestly not enough cards to even do a D tier. So I'm just gonna, F is just the failures. Don't play them. But C tier, all that you can think about. So this is how we did it, right? So S tier, you have to play. A tier, you're probably gonna play. B tier, consider it. D tier, consider not playing it. And then F tier, just don't bother. Just literally play anything else. Alright, let's get started. First, we're doing Toon World. Right off the bat, we've got a C tier. This card's not entirely necessary to play. Worst case scenario, you play one copy. It's basically, you pay 1,000 and you have it on the field. That's its only effect. You just pay 1,000 to have it. And your deck needs Toon World. But the fantastic part is that you actually don't need Toon World because you have Toon Kingdom now. And Toon Kingdom is actually searchable with things like terraforming, set rotation,
and every other card that searches Toon World also searches Toon Kingdom.
There's plenty of cards, yeah.
There's absolutely no reason to play Toon World over Kingdom.
Yeah, there's just, it's purposeless. So the only reason you would want to play it is if you want to have an extra copy just in case things got destroyed. You just want to have that extra insurance. That is the only reason conceivable that you would even want to do that. Next, we've got another C tier here. This is the Toon Goblin Attack Force. This is not one of the real old ones, but it's an old one. This one just switches to defense after you attack, and if you've ever seen the regular Goblin Attack Force, you can't change the battle position until basically 2 turns later. So this card's a little annoying, just because first of all, I can't attack the turn it's summoned, so you have to wait a turn, and then you do attack, and you do finally get to attack. You do the 2,300 damage, it changes to defense, which has 0 defense, and then you can't attack for basically a full turn. Which is very frustrating. It's
already a slow deck. There's no reason to make it even worse.
This just makes that worse. It's not F tier because F tier is reserved for the absolute worst cards, but it's still pretty not good. Next, we've got a B tier card. This is the Toon Mass Sorcerer. This card is actually fairly good. Basically, it can do all of the all the Toons can attack your opponent directly as long as they don't control the Toon. And this particular card, if it attacks directly, it lets you, if it inflicts battle damage, it lets you draw a card, which is pretty good because all your monsters can attack directly anyway. It's not on the A or S tier level. This is more of those Tekken cards that you can play. If you're playing the more level 4 leveled focus version of the deck, you'll play this card. But if you're focusing on the bigger, the level 7s, the level 8s, then I would suggest not playing this card. But it's definitely an interesting card, to say the least.
And there's a lot of search power, but there's no draw power, so it's nice to get a draw. Maybe you draw a page flip or table of contents, and you can get other stuff going.
Yeah.
It's just to help you get a little bit more ahead of your opponent, really.
The only other issue with this card is Pot of Extravagance is a very popular card in the deck. So you can't use this card after you use Pot of Extravagance because you can't draw outside of Pot of Extravagance. So this card is that's another reason that this card is a little bit dead.
I didn't even know. I forgot all about that. I mean, that's pretty big.
Next is Toon Dark Magician. Not S tier. S tier is reserved for the absolute best. But A tier, very good, very high A tier, very good card. Lets you discard a Toon, special summon.
Discard a Toon card.
Yeah, discard a Toon card. Special summon a Toon monster from your deck, ignoring summoning conditions, which is very good. And then it also lets you search a Toon card.
Well, you have to do either one, but it's a soft once per turn, so you can actually keep looping this. And if you have another one in your hand, you can Toon Red Eyes and then Toon Red Eyes bring it out, and you just keep looping the two of them, get a bunch of like searches and stuff. Yeah, you have to discard, but like the new one, was it Page Flip?
Yeah, page
That has
flip.
protection in the graveyard. It doesn't even matter.
Oh no, that's not page flip. That's bookmark.
Bookmark, yeah, bookmark is protection in the graveyard, so it's like you just set up the graveyard a little bit, and that one's once per turn. So if you have another one, who cares?
Next, we've got Toon Page Flip. This card is actually very, very good. This one lets you reveal 3 different Toon cards, and then your opponent picks one randomly, and you special summon ignoring summoning conditions. It is a bit annoying that it's random, because you have to play a larger amount of Toon cards than maybe you want to. But it is actually a fairly good card. Like it's a free special summon, ignore summoning conditions. And if you pick the right Toons, it doesn't matter which one you pick. It's going to end up pretty good. Like as long as you pick Dark Magician, Red Eyes, and Blackluster Soldier, or some combination, maybe not exactly those, but maybe something else.
Definitely Toon, Dark Magician, and Red Eyes.
Those two definitely, yeah. Unless you have nothing in your hand, then you don't pick the Red Eyes. But basically, depending on what you pick, you're basically always going to get at least something reasonably good. Next, we've got the Toon. What is this? Toon Barrel Dragon.
Yeah.
This card isn't like super terrible. Like it's not good, but it's not like super terrible. It's a decent tech option. It's one of your only spot removal cards outside of the Blackluster Soldier. But it's not bad because you can destroy a card, flip 3 coins. If 2 of them are heads, you get to pop it. And of course, this is another. If you wanted to, you can run it off. You can use it with the. It's a full tribute to special summon the Blackluster Soldier. That's why it's half decent. So if you have the Blackluster Soldier, you can search this. Instead of searching multiple cards, you can just search this one card and then tribute this from your hand to special summon the Blackluster Soldier. And he's actually one of the better level 8s because the other level 8s are a bit of a mess, to say the least.
The only thing that sucks is that it's like down to like chance to like pop a card. That's like you just activate. You can put in the work to summon it, activate it, and it just goes nowhere.
Yeah, it could be a little bit annoying. Next, we've got the Toon Blackluster Soldier. This card isn't better than Page Flip or Dark Magician because Dark Magician is just too important for your engine. Like this is the best boss monster that the deck has thus far. But the thing is, engine cards are so much more important than the boss monsters because, it's just. You need to be able to actually summon a good amount of Toons out before you can summon the Toon Blackluster Soldier. But it does have a very good payoff. It can attack the turn it's summoned. It can banish a card, but then it can't attack, which kind of is pointless with the whole can attack the same turn. But still, and it's pretty easy to summon. You can banish from your hand or field levels tribute from your hand or field equal to the levels of. Basic of his level, so up to level 8, and then you can summon him, which is pretty cool. Next is Toon Red Eyes. This is another good one. Toon Red Eyes is another easy A tier. Basically, he just lets you summon a Toon from your hand, ignoring summoning conditions, which is very important because Toons have some of the stupidest summoning conditions of all time. So it's very nice to have a very easy way to summon this. So you can basically, this card will let you summon any of these other cards in the whole entire archetype, ignoring whatever it says on that text, which is really good.
And soft ones per turn.
Yeah,
that's one of the craziest things about some of the Toon cards. They're just soft ones per turn. Like the ones that small ones that special summon aren't even once per turn.
They either are soft. Insane. They're either soft ones per turns, or they're not once per turns at all.
At all.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Comic Hand's another solid A tier. I'll put it above. I'll put it above the Toon Blackluster Soldier. This card used to be less good, but it actually is searchable now because you used to not be able to search it because it didn't have Toon in its name. But now what you can do is you can use the Toon table of contents to go into the Toon bookmark, and then you can just use the Comic Hand. But Comic Hand is very good because it basically allows you to steal your opponent's monsters. It basically is like Snatch Steal, which is, we all know, banned. It basically lets you steal your opponent's monster, and then that monster becomes a Toon.
And they can attack pretty cool turn, right?
Yeah, they can attack normally. Because it's a really cool effect. Really, really cool. Definitely one of my favorite cards in the deck. The only thing with this deck that's a huge issue is this deck has a bit of an identity crisis, where it has a lot of really good cards for going second, but it also has a lot of really good cards for going first.
Yeah.
And then just like the main core of the deck is they can't attack the turn they're summoned. So even if you go second, you couldn't OTK anyway. Unless you use some combination of Toon Dark Magician Girl and Toon Blackluster Soldier. I think that's another kind of stupid restriction is that they can't attack the turn they're summoned. But yeah, it's a little bit of an odd situation. You don't know if you want to go first. You don't know if you want to go second. You really don't know what you want to do. So that can be a little bit of an issue. So this steals a monster, so obviously you can't use this card going first. But going second, it's honestly very, very good. Toon, Manga Reran. Honestly, I'm just going to put this in F tier. I was going to put it in C tier, but I'm just going to put it in F tier. There's absolutely no reason for you to use this card. It requires 2 tributes to special summon. And then this is one of the older Toon cards, so it has a ton of restrictions.
No effect.
Yeah, no effect, like no good effects. Like it has a ton of restrictions. Like you need to have Toon World to summon this. Toon World gets destroyed. This card gets destroyed. You have to pay 500 to attack. On top of all of this, its stats are terrible. Like it's level 8, but it has worse stats than like all of the other level 8s. So there's absolutely no reason to play this. It is one of the worst Toon cards by far. His artwork is cool though. Next, you've got the Toon Gemini Elves. This card's actually pretty cool. It doesn't just have no effect. Basically, it's just like any other Toon where it can attack, all the usual stuff. But when it inflicts battle damage, it lets you discard a card from your opponent's hand, which is actually pretty cool, to be honest with you.
That's actually a lot better than the mask guy, because like you said with the extravagance, and then like just taking a resource out is just lit.
And it has 1,000 more attack.
Let's calm down there.
Yeah. Then we've got the Toon Kingdom. This is an S tier.
Easily.
This actually made the deck a lot more playable than it was before. Like the deck was almost like before Legends of Dragon 2. This deck was almost unplayable. Like there was no way to search Toon Kingdom outside of the Toon Table of Contents. If you didn't open one of those two, you just could not play. It made the deck so slow. On top of that, you were paying life points. You paid 1,000 life points to activate it. Then your opponent would like MST it, and then you just kind of be screwed. You had no protection for it. It was really, really bad.
And the pool of Toon monsters was limited, so you had to play the ones where you had to pay to attack, and you're just paying all these life points.
It used to be a mess. This deck used to be like it wasn't even. It used to not be bad. It was completely unplayable. It was when this deck came out, it was physically impossible to play this deck. It was that terrible.
That set.
Yeah. But this card is actually really good. On top of that, it banishes cards from the top of your deck on activation, which is a really interesting and weird cost, because by banishing cards face down, it actually opens up a whole banish deck engine where you can play stuff like Grand Maju and
Eater of Millions.
And what other banished cards are there? Basically, it opens it up to a bunch of random just banished cards like that special summon themselves. But Eater of Millions is very good in the deck because your extra deck is almost entirely useless. So you might as well just summon the Eater of Millions. It can get rid of boss monsters very easily because it banishes face down. And then it gains attack for every card that's banished face down. Which is also very helpful. But it opens that whole banish area. On top of that, it gives you a ton of protection. Your monsters cannot be targeted, which is a huge way of your opponent getting rid of stuff. On top of not being able to target your cards, it also, if your card would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish a card from the top of your deck instead, which is again, and
not once per turn.
Not once per turn. So they try to continuously destroy things. You can keep banishing and banishing and banishing, and it's really, really good for that. Next is Toon Defense. This is probably the worst Toon card in the entire archetype.
What does it do again?
Basically, when your opponent attacks, it's a continuous trap. When your opponent attacks a level 4 or lower Toon monster, you can make the attack a direct attack instead.
Buttons.
Like I don't even just play anything. Just play Mirror Force. Just play Wabaku.
Wait, if you make them attack directly, can you like Drowning Mirror Force? Oh no, you have to declare an attack directly. So I guess not.
It's a mess. Why would you even? It's so much again. Like why
That's
would you?
funny.
It's like a 4-card combo.
It's like funny though.
But it's still. It's like it's.
That actually is 4 cards.
Yeah, it's a 4-card this card is absolutely terrible. Like it's easily the worst Toon card. And you know what's the sad thing is, again, the artwork is actually pretty cool. Like it's a Toon book getting grabbed by a chain with like a cool background, but again, it's just like it's useless. It's a waste. Next we've got Toon Terror. This is basically their counter trap. If you control a Toon world and a Toon monster and your opponent activates a monster spell or trap, you can negate that activation. It's good because it is very easy to search. Because like I said before, there are so many search cards in this deck. Like it's extremely easy to search. You only have to play 1 copy and it's not an issue. The only issue is that as far as counter traps go, that is a very underwhelming counter trap. Like first of all, it requires 2 components, which is the monster and the Toon world, which is not like it's not that you won't have that every single time, but there are awkward hands where maybe you'll have one of those 2 things, but not both. So it'd be nice if it was either. On top of that, it has no graveyard effect. It doesn't have any like special like negate and banish. It doesn't have anything like that. It would have been cool if it was like negate the activation and banish face down or something of that sort, but it has nothing like that. Or if it was like, you know, negate the activation and take the card. Like that
actually would have made more sense.
Yeah, that would have been really cool if you could like negate the activation and then set the card face down, like totally awesome. Yeah.
Beat.
That would be really cool, but it's just it's such a like average run of the mill counter trap. But it is extremely searchable, so it's at the high end of B tier. Next we've got the low end of C tier. You can even honestly make the argument to put this into F tier. Because honestly, this is just I'll just put it in F tier. And I don't want to do this because I actually like the artwork's awesome, and I don't want to do this, and I'm a huge fan of Blue Eyes, but I mean that's completely irrelevant.
We didn't know that. Thanks for telling us.
That's completely irrelevant because this card is just so terrible. It requires 2 monsters to summon, to special summon, and then this has all of the restrictions of the old Toons, which is, you know, you have to pay 500 life points to attack.
It gets destroyed.
It gets destroyed. Yeah, there. You can't attack the turn summon. It has all of the restrictions and no benefits whatsoever. No special effects. Next, we've got the Toon Table of Contents.
Briefcase.
Yeah, briefcase. I'm sorry, briefcase. This,
I think it was low end of A tier.
Yeah, low end of A tier.
Because it's also searchable like the other guy, but this one isn't once per turn. I think the counter trap's once per turn, but briefcase isn't.
But this card's pretty cool too. Basically, if your opponent special summons a if the opponent summons a monster, special or normal, you could just shuffle it back into the deck, which is
not once per turn, not targeting.
Yeah, non-targeting, not once per turn. This is one of the better cards. If you're building the deck to go first, you should play this card. Like it's very good. Next, we've got Toon Alligator.
S tier.
I actually don't think that this is worse. Toon Defense is worse. I'll put it up here, only because we were talking about it. And I was just like, I was thinking about like it's definitely better than these guys. These guys are absolutely useless. But if you think about it, this is a Toon card with no restrictions whatsoever because it's just a normal monster. And technically speaking, you can use Unexpected Die to summon it out if you wanted to, like just to have more levels available to you for the Blackluster Soldier. Technically speaking, it is better than these 2 because these cards are just like I wouldn't even dream of playing. But like I could foresee some sort of situation in my mind where I would possibly play this card, maybe. Like it's possible.
I think you're a little too hopeful.
Yeah, I'm a little. That's why it's at the bottom of C tier. But there is a possibility. Toon Black Buster Blader. This goes here. This is a level 7. That's the only reason it might be playable, because you can use these 3 to make rank 7 plays. But I'd say the issue with this card is the only thing it really gains is that it gains attack for having dragons in the graveyard. So if you're playing against like
Dragonlink?
Yeah, Dragonlink or Guard Dragons, like it could be a cool card. But other than that, I actually think the Barrel Dragon is better because it pops things.
It's just not a proactive effect. I mean, you could possibly use it to OTK, but I don't know. Like once they see it and once they count the attack and it's gonna be like 7,000, they're just gonna be like, we gotta get rid of that. And then Borload Savage or whatever, sword, just take it.
Yeah. Next, we've got the Toon Harpy Lady. This is the top of B tier. This card's actually really good. You can even, honestly, you can even put this into A tier if you really wanted to. Again, it depends on the build that you're playing. But this card's actually pretty cool because all you need to special summon it is to control Toon World, and then you can special summon this card. And then when it's special summon and you control another Toon monster, you can pop a spell trap card your opponent controls, which is it's pretty good.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Because they have no other back row removal.
Yeah, they don't have any other back row removal at all in this deck.
Barrel Dragon was like the only like removal, but then since we got the Soldier and the Harpy, now we have a monster removal and we have back row removal. So it's really cool. You're starting to get like places. It's like Sky Strikers.
Yeah. And then if you really wanted to, you could, in theory, play the Harpy Synchro. And you could, in theory, play Harpy's Feather Rest or Feather Storm. You can activate that from your hand and then stop your opponent from activating any monster effects if you want to stall for a turn.
And you could, in theory, just switch to Harpies.
Yeah. At that point, you might as well switch to Harpies and not go through the heartache. But yeah, it's actually pretty good. Top of B tier, depending on what build you're playing, could be A tier. And the spell and trap card removal doesn't target, which is pretty cool too. Next, we've got the Toon Mermaid. This is right here, the higher end of B tier. This is actually one of the better
old ones.
Yeah, better old ones because all you have to control if you control Toon World, you can basically special summon this card. It's pretty good.
It has the same like restrictions.
Yeah.
Pay 500 to attack, can't attack the turn to summon, but it's just a free summon, so link away or overlay or just do other stuff with.
Yeah. That's the thing. It has the old restrictions, but it's a free summon. So it's like, for example, if Blue Eyes had the old restrictions, but it was a free summon, Blue Eyes would be A tier. But the problem is, it is not a free summon, so you have to tribute monsters. But this, you don't have to tribute anything, so it's actually pretty good. This is, what is this, Shadow Toon?
That's the burn one,
Yeah,
right?
it's the burn one. Top of C tier.
Mm-hmm.
Not really that cool. Unless you like increase the attack of one of your Toon monsters and then inflict damage, like it's the only reason you would do that.
Buster Blader.
Yeah, like if you're playing against a dragon deck and you summon Buster Blader and he's like 8,000 attack and you activate Shadow, too much stupid stuff has to happen for this card to be good. So I'd say it's somewhere around there. But it's technically it's not better than Toon World. I just placed it there a little too fast. It's not better than Toon World, and it's not better than Goblin Attack Force. Yeah, it's a little bit of a mess. Toon Rollback. This you can put at the top of C tier. Basically, it lets a Toon monster you control attack twice, and it's one of those non-restrictive attack twice. It's not like attack twice on monsters. It's just attack twice, which is pretty good in certain cases. Like it's good with since all your monsters are attacking directly. It's pretty cool that it attacks twice.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, you could just play a better card instead, and not have to do that. Or you could just have another monster and just some attack with that, and then you have board presence instead of having one monster attack twice. You could just summon two monsters and attack twice with both of them. So it's probably better.
It's cool with the Blackluster Soldier and the Dark Magician Girl though, so they can attack their turn they're summoned. So you can just especially with Blackluster Soldier, he's like super big, so you get 6,000 attack already. And if you get a Dark Magician Girl, it's just game. Well, that's like super specific.
Yeah, too many things have to go right. Next we've got this is a stupid card. It's a little newer. It's not older. Why am I even putting this in B tier? I'll put this in C tier because honestly, no, I don't even think I should be putting it there. This card's really dumb. Just because Toon Ancient Gear Golem, this card is a mess because the better level 8 would be the Blackluster Soldier, and this actually pops cards, so this is the other level 8, so it has that going for it too. Yeah, potentially pop cards. This card is really dumb because basically what it does is if it attacks like it has the same restrictions where it can't attack the turn it's summoned, but if it attacks a defense position monster, it does piercing. But what is the point of that if it can just attack directly? Like, why would you attack your opponent's defense position monster and do piercing when you could just attack their life points directly? Like, if you already waited the turn and you could attack, you could just attack directly.
And he's big, so
and he's 3,000. He's one of the bigger ones, but it's just stupid. Like, it's just such a stupid effect. They should have given him anything else. What they should have done is they should have just given him like double damage. That would have made it pretty cool. Like, instead of piercing, he had double damage. That would have, like, alright. Because why would you give piercing to a monster that can attack directly? It doesn't make sense. So it's a mess. Toon Mask. Somewhere in the middle of A tier. Right here.
Yeah.
Basically, when your opponent summons a monster, you can summon a Toon monster with
the
levels.
Same level
yeah,
or lower.
Same or lower. Which most combo starters that your opponent will have we're probably going to be level 4 or lower. So they'll summon like a level 4 monster, you'll chain this, you'll summon Toon Harpy Lady, and then you can pop a card your opponent controls, a spawn trap card your opponent controls. That's like the best case scenario. But
I mean, if you have Toon Kingdom on the field, you can always just summon something big, and it's kind of hard for them to get over. Like, you can summon like the Toon Red Eyes or the Toon Dark Magician, and then it's like they're 24, 25, and they have their protection from Toon Kingdom, and then they're ready to attack the next turn, and it's like setup, but it's like there's just better things to set up with.
Yeah, and the other thing is it's contingent on your opponent's levels. But if they play like a low level deck, like they just summon like a level 1 and they go into a Linkaribo, they have no they're not compatible with anything you're doing. So it just becomes a dead card.
Or if they're playing like a Link Spam or like a what's that like rank 4s or something like that, and it's just
like things that have no levels, it becomes a little annoying. Next we've got the Toon Cannon Soldier. This is another one of those level 4s. Actually, we'll probably put it right here. Basically, this got printed around like that mid section, so it doesn't have all of the real bad restrictions. It still can't attack the turn it's summoned. But this card is actually pretty cool. It's a pretty cool to have. It's a pretty cool one-off to have, because sometimes your opponent will have like 1,500 life points left because you'll attack them multiple times, but you haven't finished them off, and you don't want them to recover, so you just search this, normal summon, and then you could just tribute every monster you control, inflict 500 every single time, and just end the game like that. It's a pretty cool one-off to play here and there.
Especially with all the monsters that special summon themselves for free, not once per turn.
Yeah.
Mermaid, Harpies, and stuff, whatnot.
Yeah, it's definitely a pretty cool card. Next we've got the Toon Cyber Dragon. This card is pretty good. Again, this depends on how you're playing the deck. Like, if you're playing the deck to go second, this card is very good. If you're playing the card to go, actually I'll put it here. If you're playing the deck to go first, like, this card is virtually useless because there's absolutely no reason to go into it. Another good thing about this card is that you can actually special summon it and then go into the
Mecha Fleet.
Yeah, Chimera Tech Mecha Fleet Dragon or Fortress, Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon.
Mecha Fleet.
What is it called? Mecha Fleet Fortress?
No, Chimera Tech Mecha Fleet Dragon, I think.
Okay, Chimera Tech Mecha Fleet Dragon, which is pretty good because then you can basically out your opponent's like Link monster. So it's pretty good for that, I'd say. Other than that, the card is a little choppy. Like I said, you have to go second to play this card. But if you are going second, it's a free special summon, which makes it a fairly good card because a lot of these monsters have trouble getting onto the board, whereas this card does not.
And if you even have like a weird hand, you can even get 2 of them on the field and go into Nova, Infinity.
Yeah, Infinity, Nova, because they are technically Cyber Dragons too. Next we've got Mimicat. This depends. I like Mimicat a lot. I put it at the bottom of A tier. This, again, it very much depends on if you're going first or second. It used to be unsearchable, but this card is actually searchable now because of the combinations that we've talked about before with the bookmark and the contents and all that. But this card is actually very good because basically you can, if you control the Toon World and all of the proper components, you can take a card from your opponent's graveyard, and if it's a monster, summon it. If it's a spawn trap card, set it, which is very good going second. But going first, it's a little questionable as to whether or not that'd be a good card, because if you're going first, the only chance that you have to actually use this card is if your opponent hand traps you in some way. Like if they use impermanence, you can take their impermanence, set it to your side of the field, which is pretty cool, to be honest with you. But if they ash you, like what are you going to do exactly? Are you going to take it and go into... Are you going to take the card and go into, like... needle fiber plays. I mean, like, what are you going to do with an Ash in defense mode on your side of the field? It just does nothing. So this card is really very much a going second card for the most part, and that's its main issue. Toon table of contents, S tier, easy S tier. This is actually the greatest search card ever printed. It's not once per turn. It can search itself, and it can search a bunch of
Basically the
cards.
entire
Yeah,
archetype.
the entire archetype.
Minus like 2-3 cards.
Yeah, minus 3 cards that can be searched through a card that it can search. So this is the greatest search card ever printed. Like, it's insane. You find very few search cards that can search themselves, and this is one of
And
them.
it's not once per turn.
And it's not once per turn. It can search itself. Like, everything about this card is so good. Yeah, it's absolutely one of the best. Like, the only search card that I can even think of that might be better than this card is Sky Striker Mobilize Engage. Like, that is the only search card off the top of my head that might be better than this card.
You need to have setup.
Yeah, but you don't need setup to search. You just need setup to draw. But still, it's like it's still very good. And that's not once per turn, and this isn't once per turn. But that is the only card that would even give this card like a run for its money. Is that card? But this is by far going to be the best card in the deck. Next we got Toon Dark Magician Girl. Again, this is one of those like tech options too. Like, I'll put it right here. It basically, the only thing that's positive about Toon Dark Magician Girl is that it can attack the turn it's summoned. So I guess if you can get 2 Blackluster Soldiers and 1 Dark Magician Girl on field, you can win the game. But that is rather unlikely.
Yeah, that's like...
Yeah,
you need like 7 cards for that to happen.
You need a lot of cards. Your opponent would literally have to be doing absolutely nothing for that to happen. In which case, you could just attack directly with a normal deck. So it's a little bit dumb. But I mean, you could technically use 1 Toon Blackluster Soldier, a Toon Dark Magician Girl, and a Shadow Toon to do it. But again, it's just very unlikely. You're better off just going into a bit of a grind game, and
that's still like a 6-card combo.
Yeah, it's still like, because then you need the Toon World, you need these, you need have cards to tribute. There's a lot of involvement in all of that, so it's just the only benefit that she has is that she can attack directly. That's about it. She's nowhere near like Dark Magician or Red Eyes or any of the others here. Next, Toon Bookmark. This is another S tier. This is another like newer card. Of all of the newer cards, this is actually the best new card. So basically, this lets you search a Toon World or a card that lists Toon World in its text, which is very good. Because,
literally the entire deck.
Yeah,
that one's like actually the entire deck.
That finishes everything off, because that finishes everything off because it allows you to search all of the cards that didn't have Toon in its name.
Like Mimikat.
Yeah, like Mimikat, Comic Hand,
Mangaria-Ran.
No, Mangaria-Ran is always, they say and Mangaria-Ran.
I'm sorry.
But there's one more that was
Shadow.
Like,
no, Shadow Toon.
No, Shadow Toon, Toon Rollback. There was some other weird one. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Yeah,
but
I think it was just the 2. I think it was just Mimikat and Comic Hand.
Comic Hand, Mimikat weren't searchable, but now they are very much searchable because they both have Toon World in their text. So it's basically just another search card in the deck that already has great search power, so it's even more search power. On top of that, if this card is in the graveyard and your Toon World would be destroyed, you can banish this card instead. So it gives you protection for your Toon Kingdom and your Toon Table of and your Toon Kingdom and your, what's the original one? Toon World, yeah. So either way, it's a very good card. It's definitely up there in S tier. It's a very strong card. Next we've got Toon Summon Skull. Technically better than these 3 at the bottom here. They're a mess. I'd say it's somewhere around here.
I think Toon Summon Skull is my favorite artwork.
It looks cool, yeah. It's a little too dark in the front, but
hey, keep race out of this.
it's a cool looking card, but its issues are it's got all the old texts.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it only has to tribute 1 monster to summon itself. Unlike these 2, they need to tribute 2 monsters to summon itself. But other than that, it's just not that good. So you probably, like I said, these cards down here in C and F tier, you probably don't want to play these cards. B and above is where you want to exist. And the only reason, well, these are more of tech options, but anything A and above you have to play. Like, they're just too good not to play. But that is actually right about it. This is just an alternate art, and this is unfortunately a duplicate. That is basically it. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, do all that great stuff. And if you have any other recommendations, just let me know, and we'll try to produce it. Thank you. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy this type of content, check out the other videos on the channel, and please subscribe. It helps the channel a lot. Again, thank you so much. Have a terrific day.